Street Fighter fans? With Chris Bolts, and I'm going to be coming in with a reaction to Tyrone Magnus's reaction to the recently dropped Street Fighter trailer. Now, I think he and I come at this from the same lens when it comes to the Street Fighter movie. We both wanted a more grounded, more realistic kind of look of Street Fighter in a movie, and it can be done. If you guys go look at the Street Fighter animated movie, they try to take a more serious look at this, and there are several Street Fighter animated movies that were released, and they were all very serious and grounded. The characters obviously still look like they do in the video game. We got the 93 version, and the less that's said about that movie, the better. And I wanted to go ahead and take a look at his reaction to this. Now, I'm not going to go back and play the beginning because he's just looking at the video. We've already done that before on my own video. I'll link to that in the description so you can get my thoughts on that. I just want to react to his thoughts on what he thinks about the trailer overall and the characters as they appear in it. But before I do get into the content, do make sure you like, share, subscribe, turn on those post notifications. All that stuff really does help me out. And without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at this.
I'm a super fan, okay, of Street Fighter. I'm going to go through this, okay? I'm going to play it again with no sound. Okay, so that, okay. Let's, okay, keeps messing up on me. Okay, so that looks cool to me, okay? That does. Him making the fireball looks cool to me.
I will agree. I like the way that Ryu is getting ready to do the Hadouken. I think that's a lot of what we were asking for in the 93 movie, and I keep bringing that up, but that's the only thing we can really compare it to since that's the only other live action version. By the way, there are some really good live action shorts on YouTube that I had mentioned in my video on the Street Fighter 2 trailer, or my thoughts on the Street Fighter trailer that dropped today. So go in there and just do a YouTube search. You'll find something, and they're very excellent. But this is pretty good. This is pretty good. I agree with him on that.
I have no problem with that. I like that. I really like the Dhalsim. Okay. You know, from what I've seen so far in movies, it's kind of hard to make the Dragon Punch look real, I guess, with the whole physics of it. That wasn't too bad.
No, it wasn't too bad, and I actually made that one my screensaver, or rather not the screensaver, but thumbnail for my video was Ken doing the Dragon Punch up to Dhalsim. Dhalsim does look pretty good. I think his character is probably the most accurate out of all the characters. If we're trying to do like a 1-to-1, Dhalsim is nearly a 1-to-1 to what he looks like in the video game compared to what he looks like in this particular movie. So no complaints there or anything like that. I thought Balrog looked pretty good. I thought he was a really good representation of, or 50 Cent is doing a really good representation of Balrog in the movie, but he obviously does not have Balrog size. In fact, most of these people do not have the size and scope of the characters in the game themselves, obviously because most of them wouldn't look like that in real life. I mean, in real life, Ryu and Ken, even at their height, they'd probably be 300, 400 pounds pure muscle. That ain't gonna be happening.
Bison absolutely looks garbage. Turned his eyes white and looked garbage.
I actually like that. I actually like the fact that they turned his eyes white, because in the video games his eyes are white. Not in Street Fighter 2. They didn't turn his eyes white. I think that actually started in Street Fighter Alpha when they actually started changing his eyes to be more translucent and not have black pupils. I like that, and I think the Dalmatian guy, like I said, his name, last name I always mess up. I think he's going to do a good job because he really puts himself into the characters. Again, Mr. Three in One Piece, absolutely wonderful. He's done other stuff and everything. He was in he was also in Oppenheimer, and he's a really good character actor, really good method actor, and he's also a bona fide comics nerd. So he understands staying true to a character. So I can't wait to see his performance on Bison.
Okay, so Dowsing so far as the fan goes that I'm thinking about, he looks great. I saw his movements. He looks great. Okay, that's not Cammy. Okay, that's not Cammy. Look up who Cammy is. Everything, race, ethnicity, who she is. That's not Cammy. That looks like somebody cosplaying as Cammy at Comic Con. I've seen that before. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a good Cammy outfit. But that person isn't Cammy at all.
You know what? I actually do agree with him. She does not capture the look and feel of Cammy, and she's too bubbly when she walks up to Chun-Li and starts taunting her about her thighs. I'm thinking, Cammy the character would not do that. Cammy the character in the video games, she was originally brainwashed by Bison, and I think she freed herself from his control rather. But she's just as serious and hard nosed as Guile. She's a former special forces, and like I said, she was formerly part of Bison's crew under his control. And she is a no nonsense woman. She does not sit there and act bubbly. And again, she's British. I don't think this chick is British or anything like that. I don't know what her nationality is, but she really doesn't look like Cammy. It just, why can't they just get blonde hair, blue eyed people to play these particular roles? But let's go ahead and continue.
Okay, he's not a bad Balrog to me personally. Let me see here. Cody Rhodes is Guile's absolute trash.
100% agree on Guile. I do not like Guile's look at all. And again, if they play him for jokes, I'll be so upset. Guile's music, first of all, is the most iconic music in all of Street Fighter. Capcom has yet to release a track for any of their games that can get anywhere near the soundtrack of Street Fighter 2. The soundtrack of Street Fighter 2 is memorable. Pretty much every track in Street Fighter 2 is iconic. Ryu's theme, Ken's theme, Chun-Li's theme, Honda's theme, Dhalsim's theme, Zangief's theme, Vega's theme, Balrog's theme, Bison's theme, Guile's theme, especially, and Sagat's theme. I just say those words, you guys know exactly what their tracks are in your head. You know, you don't have to even go look them up because you remember the music. And so Guile is a good representation. His performance is probably a good representation of what this entire movie is going to be about. I don't want him played up for laughs. Guile should be one of the most serious characters in this entire movie, along with Cammy. And Cammy is being bratty and not she doesn't have any type of intimidation about her, and I don't see her trying to compete with Chun-Li. Chun-Li is even should be a little more serious too, but you know, it's just the way that they're capturing these characters can be so much better than what we're getting. And so far, I agree with him. Dhalsim is good. I don't agree with him on Bison. I think Bison will have a really good performance. Balrog is looking pretty good too. So, but Guile, oh my goodness, Cody Rhodes' Guile, it's trash. I agree with him.
Horrible. Okay. The Vega from the one with Raul Julia is a better looking Vega to me than this. This also looks highly cosplayed. It looked.
I said the same thing in my. Well, I didn't say the exact same thing, but I agree with him that the '93 version of Vega, it looks more like Vega than this guy does. And the guy in the '93 version, he was I think he was a Latin guy. He didn't. He had darker hair. He didn't have the blonde hair like Vega, but he had the build of Vega. This guy right here, I said in my video that this Vega just looks weak, and yes, he looks weak and he looks corny. He looks absolutely corny. So
It's cheap. It's bad. Like, oh yeah, it's Vega. Oh, yeah, I get it. But okay, I liked that pick. Who's the first person to put that in their movie? Was it Zack Snyder with people getting hit like that? With the warehouse scene with the punch. Batman did it with the punch. He did it with the kick, with dropping a person like that. I could have swore though, I may have seen something like that beforehand before I saw Zack do it. I liked that kick on El Fuerte. El Fuerte is in better shape than that. I don't know why.
yeah, I was wondering who there was, and yes, it's El Fuerte. El Fuerte is from Street Fighter 4, I believe, and then he didn't mention anything about Joe. I wanted to call him Joe Higashi, but Joe Higashi's from Fatal Fury. That Joe that he had went by. Let's see if I can get a better spot right here. Let me just right here. He's being played by Alex Volkanovski, who is an actual UFC. He's a UFC champion for the I want to say what the featherweight division. I want to say. Yes, I think it's the featherweight division that he's champion of. He's an actual fighter, and they gave him hair because he's really bald in real life. It didn't say anything about Joe. Joe is from all the way back in the original Street Fighter. He's the only one that's making an appearance from the very first Street Fighter, which had those really large buttons that made no sense. The harder you hit them, the harder you hit. It's a good thing that Capcom went back to the drawing board and redid everything about Street Fighter and came out with Street Fighter 2. If they didn't do that, you wouldn't have a Street Fighter series. Street Fighter 2 is it's up there with Super Mario Brothers. That's how impactful that game was. What Super Mario Brothers did for the 2D platformer, Street Fighter 2 did for the fighting genre. In fact, I would dare say that Street Fighter 2, there were fighting games obviously before Street Fighter 2. You had Street Fighter, but Street Fighter 2 pretty much established the entire fighting genre, that every fighting game owes some type of credit to Street Fighter. The types of fighters you have, the iconic music that comes along with the game, the stages, and the combo system. Combos were not meant to happen in Street Fighter 2. They weren't meant to happen. But they became such a big integral part of the game that Capcom obviously didn't go in there and try to fix it out or anything like that, because this was the arcade. How are you going to really do that? You're going to pull all the arcades out and say, we got to redo the motherboards and all that stuff. Now they just said, well, it's part of the game. People are enjoying it. It's more popular in there and it's bringing us money. Let's leave it alone. So all of that, every game pretty much owes it to Street Fighter 2. Let's continue. Let me go back to this spot right here.
Where there's in better shape than that. I don't know why they made him fat. Maybe because he's a chef and maybe he's eating his own food or something. I don't know.
By the way, Dan Hibiki is being played by Andrew Schultz. I don't think Dan Hibiki is going to be fighting. Dan is a good fighter. He's a goof character, but he is an actual fighter. He's a Shoto character, just like Ken and Ryu. I don't think he studied at the same school, even though, well, maybe he did, because when he throws his Hadouken, it doesn't go that far out. And when he does his Shoryuken, his Dragon Fist, it looks all kind of funky, and his Tatsu is weird. But he's a good fighter. I don't think Andrew Schultz is going to be doing anything like that. He's just going to be an announcer.
This whole thing with Ken. See, when I watch all of the Asian version, first of all the Asian versions of the movies, everything that they do, it's a super serious story that has comedic elements, has certain comedic characters and comedic breaks, but it's not a comedy. It's an extremely serious story. This is almost a parody of who he is, the way he's behaving. Okay.
No, I disagree with him on that. It's not a parody because, again, if we go to Street Fighter 6, Ken is obviously living a life of destruction. He gets divorced, he's homeless, and so he's living a life of destruction. So I like the fact that they have put Ken on this destructive path, and where he needs to go and try to find himself and get back to what it truly means to be a martial artist. I actually like that. I disagree with Tyrone Magnus on that. Could they have made him more serious? Yeah, they could have, but I think making Ken the kind of character he is right here, where he is the more brash and aggressive fighter than what Ken is. Ken is more reserved and measured, and that's only because Ryu had. Did I say Ken is more reserved? I meant Ryu. Ryu is more reserved and measured, and that's only because Ryu came into contact with the Dark Hado, and he was fighting his internal demons and the external ones that was trying to get out. He was fighting against them, and that's why he is a more calm, reserved fighter. Ken, I like this destructive path that he's going on. Where he's just partying it up, and he's needing to be pulled back away from that, and he needs to find that certain thing that pulls him back from this destructive lifestyle, so that he can get back on the path of a true martial artist and to hook up with his wife, Alicia Masters. Alicia. She does not Alicia Masters yet. So I like that. I disagree with Tyrone on that.
Okay. I like that punch from Balrog to him. I really like that. That's a really good hit. 50 Cent was almost exactly like it. The only person that you get is the younger Mike Tyson. We don't have that right now. So, that and he's looking at a good size there. We know that Balrog is bigger than that, but it's looking at a good size. Now, if someone had given me a beginning shot of this and said, look, this is Ryu and Ken facing off in the new Street Fighter movie, I would have thought this movie is serious. It's aura farming. Look at this slow-mo. Look at the lighting. Look at the darkness. Look at the seriousness.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is perfection. This look, that look that we just saw Ryu.
Yep.
The first one that they showed, and his hair is all down.
Yep, I agree.
Ken. I prefer not to see Ken with his hair up because I'm so used to seeing it with his hair down. I know he's like that in what's it, 5? Is it just 5 where he puts his hair up? Excuse me.
Yeah, it's just 5. It's just 5 that he puts his hair up like that. Street Fighter and all the other ones, it's long. In the Alpha series, which is supposed to be of Ken and Ryu when they were younger, his hair is longer and he wears it in a ponytail. So I like it when he has the man bun in Street Fighter 5. Do you guys like man buns in general? That's the answer to that question. Whatever you answer to that question, keep it to yourself. this right here, this serious face off between the two fighters, Ryu and Ken, I absolutely agree. I wanted a more serious take on Street Fighter. It can be done. I mentioned it in my reaction video. It can be done. I don't know why every time these filmmakers, Hollywood, whatever, get a hold of these video game properties, and the first thing they want to do is just turn it into a goofball fest, or they want to stray so far away from the source material, Resident Evil, that you don't recognize what it is. It's just the name is being used to as a meat suit, so they can push whatever it is that they're trying to push with their own stupid movies. Go watch Critical Drinker's analysis of why we can't get Resident Evil right. He basically nails it. The first series with Mila Jovovich was just the husband director wanting to give his wife some work, and then the Netflix series was just some fat white dude wanting to just blow up some feminist chicks with feminist propaganda. Hopefully they don't do that with this. I heard some shit about He-Man, Masters of the Universe. They want to go in there and, oh, this is all about toxic masculinity. I'm like, man, come on. I really am looking forward to He-Man. If I even smell a whiff of them trying to push any kind of message or agenda in Masters of the Universe, or Tila takes a lead role over He-Man, I'm gonna blow a gasket. I'm just gonna blow a gasket. I hope that's not gonna happen here. So far, it's being set up as the story is going to revolve around Ken and Ryu. That's who it should revolve around. I know that the history of Street Fighter, Capcom really didn't want the game to revolve around Ken and Ryu. That's why with Street Fighter 3, they were trying to move towards Alex, but that was quickly shit canned when nobody was coming to play Street Fighter 3. They've put more of the focus back on Ken and Ryu, and they started adding in additional characters from the Street Fighter series. People, you can't sit there and tell people what they can or cannot like. They're gonna like whatever they want to like. You need to just follow the trends and see how people will respond to such characters. Again, I kind of put a digression there, but I'm getting back onto this. Ken and Ryu, a serious Street Fighter, it definitely could have worked. You just got to go in there and try it. Just saying, oh, we're just gonna make it dumb fun. Yeah, you'll make all the money, but what will that do for your franchise as it goes forward? Because if this movie does well, there's obviously going to be a Street Fighter 2. By the way, where is Sagat? All right, let's get back to Tyrone Magnus.
Well, and I don't think he has a really long ponytail. You know what I mean? But, all right. Damn.
By the way, I didn't like that. I did not like the fact that Ryu was ramming Ken's head into the wall. That's not his character. Ryu would never do such a thing. Unless he's being filled with the Dark Hado right there. And even there with the Dark Hado, I don't even think he still would do something like that. It's just not within his character. It's not within his nature. So I didn't like him sitting there driving Ken's head into the wall like that. But I do like the judo throw. I forgot what it's called. That Ken does, and it's more of Ryu's judo throw from his game as opposed to Ken's rolling judo throw that he does in Street Fighter 2. I think that was the only difference between Ken and Ryu in the Street Fighter 2 was that Ryu had the normal judo throw, whereas Ken had a rolling judo throw. But let's keep going.
Okay, so it was like this really bashing his head against the wall. You have him, Ken doing the whole monkey flip, monkey roll, throw. It's absolutely accurate to the game, but it looked campy and bad. There's certain moves that characters do that you can make look really cool. It just looks like they're going for camp, and that doesn't work for me. but that was accurate. But everything accurate doesn't always look cool when it's transferred. Depends on who's doing it, how it's translated to film.
Well, like I said, it'll be a little nitpick. Like I said, Ryu bashing Ken's head into the wall, that's not accurate. That's not accurate at all or anything like that. I mean, well, if you kick him into a crate or something like that, okay, that's one thing. Like, but that's not what he was doing. He was grabbing Ken and just driving his head into the wall. Ryu wouldn't do that. The throw, yeah, like I said earlier, you got the barrel roll judo throw that Ken normally does, but he just did a regular throw. 75% accurate. We'll give it that.
Okay, so looks like she's going around the world or whatever looking for fighters. She got the drop on Ryu. So I guess I don't know, he needs him to get Ken or whatever. Zangief is perfection. Absolute perfection.
But by the way, just to go about why is Chun-Li going around looking for fighters? I mean, could they have given us a little bit of a hint as to why she's doing that in the trailer? I suppose. But I hope it's not just we just want fighters to be participating in this tournament. I hope it's Chun-Li is on a mission to stop Bison, and the only way that you're going to be able to do that is we need people that can fight within the tournament, so that I could go in undercover and make it easier for me to go in there and investigate them. I hope that's the case, but we'll see.
I don't know if that was Chun-Li or not. Let me see. Is that Jury? I don't know. I don't know if she's, you know what I'm saying? Like, it looked like it was Chun-Li, but yeah. So this is the joke on the whole rivalry thing. You know, when they meet, they fight to catch up. You know, test each other's skills. They're best friends, but they're each other's best rival. To me, this is super corny and played in comedy way too much. You know what I'm saying? I get it. As a fan, I get it. But no. That was the dumbest part of the entire trailer. Like,
yeah, I completely agree. There could have been a better introduction of those two. Even if it could have been them fighting, it should have been a little bit better. But hopefully this is not how their relationship is going to be. It's not going to be like what it was in Street Fighter, the movie in '93, where Ken and Ryu were more like buddy cops than they were rivals. I hope that's not the case here. I agree. This was too corny for me. This was pretty campy. That seriousness of the face off between Ryu and Ken, much better. Much better. The fight that they had after they faced off, obviously, much better. This right here, again, I don't like the fact that they're making Ryu act like a lout. I hope they have a good explanation for why that was.
yeah, so this is the joke on the whole rivalry thing. You know, when they meet, they fight to catch up. You know, test each other's skills. They're best friends, but they're each other's best rival. To me, this is super corny and played in comedy way too much. You know what I'm saying? I get it. As a fan, I get it. But no. That was the dumbest part of the entire trailer. Like, so Ryu's still apparently really good. I don't know if he's drunk or what, but Ryu always had the edge on Ken for the most part, although they flip flop and wins as far as the storyline goes. Such an exaggeration, Ken. That's one of the best shots of the whole thing. I don't know who that is. What she's supposed to be. I really like his movements, man. I really like Dalcin, man. This guy is trash.
You know what? I 100% agree. Dalsim, he's playing up the character really well, but this Guile, oh my God, it's just, I would take the Jean-Claude Van Damme Guile over whatever we're being served up right here. They could have made his flat top look more realistic than what it is right there. I've seen white dudes with really wild looking flat tops. This just looks absolutely corny right here. In fact, they could have just not given him a flat top at all. They could have just gave him a straight fade. I just gave him a really nice way to just say, hey, grow your hair out. Try to grow your hair out about 4 to 5 inches, and we'll take care of the rest. We'll fade you up, and we'll go ahead and try to comb it up to make it where it can stick up just a little bit. I mean, in the current Street Fighter, there is Street Fighter 6. There is a skin for Guile where his hair is not up in a flat top; it's more in a ponytail. So they could have done that. They could have gone that route too. Easily could have gone that route. So this guy right here, he just looks corny, and I think they're gonna play Guile up for last, which will be a travesty. Because Guile, again, is one of the most popular characters in all of Street Fighter, and his music is it's probably the premier piece of Street Fighter across any of the games, and you can pretty much play it for anything else, and it works. It's so pro-American too. Love the music.
So, wait a minute. Let me see that again. Okay, well, let's get in. Okay. Not Cammy. That was okay.
By the way, her spinning bird kick, she doesn't touch the ground or anything like that. She pushes herself up in the air, uses those thighs to spin around. Spinning bird kick. That right there was just twirling, but I guess we'll take it. That was more akin to Killer Instinct, the chick from Killer Instinct. What's her name? Ochoa or something like that. Her move like that. That's what she does. That's how she does her twirling kick. She spins around on the ground and then kicks and then combos into whatever her flashing sticks does. That's not how Chun-Li does her spinning bird kick. But again, they're not going for too much gaming accuracy. They are trying to keep some of it within the realm of reality, I suppose.
I don't know if that's her losing her father. I don't know. Is he in prison? Let's see what's going on here. I like this. I do like this. It just looks like it's played for jokes. I like the way they did that. It's just played for jokes. You see Ken Judge? Yeah. That hurricane kick looked weird. That kick she was doing looked bad. They're going back now. What they're doing with her looks like it's a callback to what happened in Street Fighter, the movie, the animated one, which was an anime.
Yeah.
The first one that ever come out in Japan. And Chun-Li, spoiler alert, Chun-Li beats Vega in a one-on-one fight. And she beats him using the lightning kick. Okay? And she kicks him through a wall after she's done lightning kicking him. That's not the lightning kick. They do have the technology to give us a proper lightning kick. I don't know what they're doing. She's basically just stomping his face right here.
Yeah, I made the same mention about the Vega versus Chun-Li fight. It's a pretty cool scene, really nice one. very bloody, gets pretty closer to PG-13. That almost could be NC-17 if there's some intrepid people out there. I'm not giving you any ideas, but yeah, it's the same one, and I agree. That one just seemed more like he was stomping or she was stomping his face into the wall, which I suppose it works for the movie. But again, like her spinning bird kick, they're trying to ground it as much realism as possible, I suppose. Which begs the question: the scene right after that, when Ryu does his Tatsu against E Honda, they allow him to float up in the sky and do his thing and then kick. So a little bit of inconsistency there.
That's correct. This looked really good to me. This looked real. I was going to say, but because of the music, I did. I was going to say this might be the best shot of the whole trailer. That looks really good to me. I like the way he's harnessing the key for that Hadouken.
Now, lore wise, Akuma is being played by Roman Reigns. Obviously, he looks like he's too close in age to Ken and Ryu. And Akuma is supposed to be looking more like an old man, someone probably in his mid to late 60s, and he's still really fit, and he's still out there fighting and doing all kinds of demonic shit with the Dark Hado. So this isn't lore accurate, but again, Roman Reigns looks pretty good as Akuma, and this scene is really good. So no hate on that, just a little nitpick about his age range.
Oh. And we know that's the Satsui no Hadouken. Bison's hard. Okay, so he hit him with the red one, which made him catch fire. And so far, I'm alright with Blanket. Bison's garbage. This is great right here. This is absolutely great. That's great. I love that. How he went flying. I love how he went flying with that. And I assume you hit Ken with that. Now, one thing the lore people know is that when Street Fighter was out, there was a mistranslation from the Japanese to the English where when Ryu would win, he would say you have to defeat Shenlong to stand a chance. So people kind of started to think that was maybe their master or someone else or something like that.
No, well, he's going to go further and say that it was actually the name of his Dragon Punch. But just to go in there about Shenlong, yes, we all thought Shenlong was some mysterious teacher of both Ken and Ryu. That didn't turn out to be a case. They didn't come back later and give him more of a proper introduction until about Street Fighter 4. I want to say that's where they introduced the character of Goken, who is basically the trainer or the teacher rather for Ken and Ryu. But as far as Shenlong in Street Fighter 2, there's a famous April Fool's joke from Electronic Gaming Monthly. I won't go into all the details about that, but that's what basically would really set everything off, was that April Fool's joke that Electronic Gaming Monthly did, which told you how to go in there and fight Shenlong, which was utter bullshit, but it was great. But the lore behind that was so great that Capcom canonized it and gave us the character of Goken, who was basically Shenlong. So, but I'll let Tyrone keep going on here.
But it was a mistranslation, and basically he was saying you need to defeat my Dragon Punch to stand a chance. When the game first came out, Dragon Punch was invincible. You couldn't stop it.
Yep.
There was no move that could stop it.
Yep.
None. Okay, you interrupting. If your timing was right, you could interrupt any other move with your Dragon Punch, and you could not be hit out of it. Okay. Later in the series, they gave him a vulnerable Dragon Punch at different times in the game.
Well, I don't know if that's necessarily true because yes, if Ryu and Ken could do the Dragon Punch, you couldn't stop it on block or anything like that. You could block it, but you couldn't hit them out of it once it was activated, and I think you couldn't hit it on the way up. But as they turn back around, you can kick them out of it, or as they touch the ground, you can sweep them or go in for your own combo against them. And yeah, you could do the Dragon Punch right through. You could do the Dragon Punch right through fireballs and everything like that. It was pretty much invincible. There's a whole bunch of wonky things about Street Fighter 2 that was just unbelievable. Like for instance, Zangief could grab you if you can have 1 to 2 inches, maybe even 3 inches between you and your character, you and Zangief rather, and he would still grab you. And then there were certain moves where characters could grab you and they can just continuously gnaw at you or hit you over the head or smack you around, do all that kind of stuff. And it was so hard to get out of it. You were just trying to rub your buttons as much as you possibly can to try to get out of it. Street Fighter 2, all that stuff was just so aggravating, but at the same time funny, especially if you were able to get it against your opponent and watch their faces just tear up. And they be ready to want to get in a fight with you for real because you're like, you're cheating, man. You keep on doing that, getting me trapped in the corner and with your whole fireball and just throw him. You can't do exactly.
I think there were certain times where they made it invincible again. Because according to lore, that's its ultimate move. It's not the fireball.
Exactly.
Now, once the anime movie came out, when you watch it, you're like, after he hits Sagat with the Dragon Punch, Sagat rushes him and he charges the Hadouken and hits him with that to finish him. I was like, Ken has a fight with T-Hawk, hits him with the Dragon Punch to beat him, and is about to finish him with the fireball. And I'm like, that's the Dragon Punch is the ultimate move, huh? What's going on? Because I remember in the lore, as far as the Super Street Fighter went on, I believe, they gave Ryu a Super Fireball and not a Super Dragon Punch, which I thought was weird because as a person that understood the lore, I'm like, that he shouldn't have a Super Fireball. He should have a Super Dragon Punch. Why don't you give the Super Fireball to Ken? Because the Super Dragon Punch, the Ryu is the one that always says you need to defeat my Dragon Punch to stand a chance. Why wouldn't you give it to him? So later on, he ended up getting a Super Dragon Punch and a Super Fireball, of course. We all know that. When they beat Bison, this is how they beat him. Ryu grabs his foot. Ken jumps up, gives him a hurricane kick. Ryu follows it up with a dragon punch. And then they finish him off by both charging the Hadouken, double Hadouken. That's how they finish him in the movie. Mm-hmm. So they kind of changed the lore there, with it becoming their ultimate finisher in a way. I'm okay with it. Whatever.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I think they're tapping more into the Hado anyway. The Hado is a forbidden technique. There's even some shorts out there. Again, just search Street Fighter 2 movie shorts. They're actually really good. There's one where Ken is trying to activate the Hado, and Ryu is like surprised that he can do that. He goes, Ken, where did you learn that? And their master Goken comes out and demands Ken to come in and explain to him how he was learning the Hado technique. So I think as far as the lore, I'm fine with that. But the true lore is at the end of Street Fighter, because Sagat is the final boss at the end of Street Fighter, Ryu takes him out with a dragon punch, and that's why Sagat has that scar across his chest. That big giant scar is from Ryu tapping into a dark place and just driving that punch into his chest, and that sets Sagat on his own journey to learn his own Shoryuken counter, which is where he learns the Tiger Uppercut, and that's what he gets in Street Fighter 2. So yeah, am I fine with the change? Yeah, and that's what a thing about. I was listening to Critical Drinker again. Go watch his video on Resident Evil, but he was talking about how there's no plot within a lot of these fighting games. There is massive lore and a massive plot within Street Fighter. It gets kind of wonky with Street Fighter 4 and 5 and 6, but everything leading up to those games, there is really great lore and a really great plot there. The entire reason that there is even a Street Fighter 2 tournament, or in Street Fighter 2 rather, is because Bison is going around collecting these fighters to try to, tap into his cycle power to help him become more of an enhanced dictator with these powers. And again, Chun-Li lost her family and her village to the actions of Bison. Guile is undercover trying to go in there and take on Bison, and Bison recruits Vega, Balrog, and Sagat to act as his lieutenants to rein in all these fighters to help him further his goals. And Sagat is so distraught from having to do all that, he goes into solitude, and that's why you don't really. That explains why he wasn't in Street Fighter 3, but he comes back in Street Fighter 4, and in Street Fighter 5, he look in 6. He looks, especially in 6, he looks phenomenal. So there is a really good story, a rich story in the Street Fighter games. So again, just going with Tyrone here, I don't have a problem with the lore or anything like that.
Yeah. After watching this whole thing, I get the feeling that I'm going to go to the movie. When I come out of the movie, I'm going to react to the movie like I'm reacting to this. So in other words, I'm going to come out mostly as a fan, unsatisfied, but having seen some cool shit. You understand that? I'm like, yo, the fight with this was good. Yo, when this dude did this was good. But overall, the movie was bad. It's not for me as a fan. It has its moments, but they went too corny. They went too jokey joke. They went too, And for all the people that always say dumb stuff like, oh, it's supposed to be stupid. Of course, a guy that can throw a fireball is stupid. You can say that literally about every fictional movie or show,
exactly,
or anime you've ever seen,
exactly,
that has a serious tone. You can say it about any of them,
yep,
and turn it that way.
I 100% agree. I 100% agree with that. I don't like, oh, it's just gonna be dumb fun. Oh, it's not taking itself seriously. Isn't that what we want as fans of these franchises? Is for these directors, for Hollywood to take them seriously, is to put their best foot forward. I should do another video on this, but I'm just like this. I'm looking at the Chinese with NetEase, with Marvel Rivals. Oh my God, that game looks so fucking phenomenal. I haven't even played it. I'm just thinking about getting the game just so I can collect the characters, just so I can get the skins. That game captures the essence of Marvel more than Disney Marvel can capture the essence with all their movies and the shit games that they came out with. Hell, this game that I've been playing, it's the game I've been playing the longest. Marvel Contest of Champions is from a Canadian concern called Kabam. Even that game is more Marvel than what Disney Marvel can do. It's because the Canadians and the Chinese take the Marvel franchise seriously. For whatever reason, Disney does not take the franchise seriously. They just see it as a money printing machine. And look at the results that they've gotten from it. From them pursuing money as opposed to just putting out a good product. Nobody is ever going to watch any of these shit movies from Marvel from Phase 4 onward. It's not going to be in anybody's major collection. Some of the movies from the Phase 1 to 3 will be. Captain America Winter Soldier is still my favorite movie, Marvel movie of all time. I watch that one every now and then the same way I watch Predator or Terminator. We want these guys to take these things seriously. Street Fighter has a very serious story about it. You can have some characters off in there that are very comedic. E Honda in the games, his character from Street Fighter 2 to 4, 5, and 6 has slowly changed over to being more of a comedic relief character. Even Blanca is heading in that direction. So you have characters that you can use for comedic relief. I don't want to see Ken and Ryu being yucked up for laughs. The same way with Guile. I mean, Ken can be off in there. He can have some comedic moments because that's within his character, but not all the time. And definitely not being made to look like a sap. Although I do like the redemption arc that they're trying to send Ken on. He should have that kind of redemption arc. I disagree with Tyrone on that. Ryu, he should always be stoic and reserved and measured. I don't get that from him with the drunkenness and all that stupidity. I don't get that. There is a serious story that can be told here, but I'm pretty gonna be like Tyrone, which is, oh yeah, there's some good moments. I'll be like, oh yeah, that's from this game. Oh yeah, I was doing that when I was growing up when I was playing the game. So there'll be those kind of moments, but overall, I'm thinking that it's just gonna be campy and it's gonna be forgettable. I hope that's not the case, but I'm more in Tyrone's camp with this than I am with other content creators who see this as dumb fun and not to be taken seriously.
It's just a way of dismissing people when they say stuff like that. Okay?
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, you can say, oh my god, a guy that flies and can shoot beams out of his eyes? That's not stupid. A guy that dressed up like a bat and fights crime? That's not stupid. Wait a minute. A guy that got bit by a spider? A guy has spider powers? That's not stupid. A super spy? That's sexy, debonair, gets all the women, and then it just makes it through everything? He's got a bunch of gadgets? That's not stupid. You can say it about anything.
Exactly. I agree. I agree.
Like it's supposed to say, no, it's not. The fact of the matter is, it's a very, very serious and dark story, and it has its comedic elements and comedic beats. And Dan is absolutely not Dan. And where the is Sagat?
Exactly. Where is Sagat? Sagat is as much a part of this story as Ken and Ryu. I love, Tyrone for I guess for the beginning of his career on YouTube, he would cuss up a storm, and then over time, He just started doing. I wonder if his mama got to him and said, "Man, boy, you better stop cussing in all them damn videos of yours, or I'll smack you in your mouth and put some soap in it." I wonder if that's what probably happened. But no, I like the fact that he came out. Where the fuck is Sagat? I agree. Where the fuck is Sagat? My goodness, he should be featured all up in there over Balrog, over Vega, hell, even over Bison. And truthfully, if it were me, if this is if we're trying to follow the lore of the series, I'd have had to just start off with Ken and Ryu fighting Sagat, and then have the next one come up, Street Fighter 2, so it lines up perfectly. Then you start introducing all these characters. Skip over Street Fighter 3 because Street Fighter 3 is fine, but Street Fighter 3 canonically is more towards the end of the road for these characters, for Ken and Ryu. They are in their 40s, almost 50s in that game. So we would skip over Street Fighter 3 and then we would just go to 4 and do Street Fighter 3 would be Street Fighter 4 in the games, and then go to 5 and then go to 6 and then maybe come back for Street Fighter 3. But that's how I would have done it. But yes, where the fuck is Sagat?
They could have found somebody. I know he's 7 foot. Okay, he's a 7-footer. He might even be 7.
Yeah, in the '93 movie, they got someone to play Sagat, and the dude was definitely not 7 foot tall. There are some 7 foot tall people that you can do to get to play Sagat. Hell, race swap him. You know who's actually alive right now that could play him, and he knows a thing or two about MMA and kickboxing and Muay Thai? Tim Duncan. Shave up Tim Duncan, put a patch over his eye, put the scar on his chest. Tim Duncan is 6'11", maybe 7 foot tall. He's close enough. There you go. Hell, this one is way out in the ballpark, and this is definitely a race swap. Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal practices. He trains. He's 7'1". You can get that. Hell, go get Yao Ming. Just say, hey, Yao Ming, we just needed to do some kicks here and everything like that. So they could find someone that is of that height. People would understand that it's a race swap or an ethnicity swap, because I don't know how many Thai people there are out there that are 7 foot tall and does Muay Thai in Thailand. There is a smaller guy that is Thai, and he does Muay Thai, and he has the patch over his eye, and he's a bald head, but he's only about 5'11", 6, maybe even shorter than that. You could use camera angles or just use CGI to make him grow. So there's a way they could have done Sagat.
Something like, I think he's 7 feet. Look, I get that may be hard to find, okay? But you could have found somebody, and with our technology these days, made him look close. Okay, everything from makeup to whatever.
I really think Tim Duncan could have done it. I think Tim Duncan could have done it.
They're using and all that other stuff. He's like, okay, look, this guy isn't 7 foot, but he is 6'5". Okay, let's get it. You know what I'm saying? They could have. Where's he at?
Hell, they could have got Alex Pereira, Poetone, Chama. Alex Pereira would be great. Alex Pereira would be absolutely great as Sagat. He's 6'2", 6'3". They would have been perfect. Ah, well.
I understand why they would bring him in for the next movie when he was the boss in the first game. And he was the boss in front of the last boss in Street Fighter 2. Why is he not in here? Unless they're saving him. But he's not a character that you would save for a surprise. Akuma's a character you would save for.
Yeah, again, going back to the April Fool's lore and all that, that's why we have Akuma. I know that I said that Goken was basically Shenlong now, but Capcom was so impressed by the April Fool's joke that they actually did create the character that you were supposed to fight at the end of Street Fighter 2 according to the joke. They created Akuma as the new hidden character that you would fight if you met certain conditions. So that's the person that I would have just hidden away for them to go ahead and deal with. But Sagat definitely should be in. He's as integral to Street Fighter as Ken and Ryu are.
You know what I'm saying? Or Galkin, what? Post your comments down below. Let me know what you all think. If you enjoy my thoughts on this, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and share.
10 million subscribers. I'm knocking every shit over here. 10 million subscribers. Make sure you guys go give Tyrone Magnus a follow. That was a pretty good analysis. I really enjoyed reacting to his video. Let me go ahead and give that a like. Dude does have at 2.03 million, so he's on his way to the 10 million. He is 20% the way there. Let's go ahead and help him go ahead and get up to that number of 10 million subscribers. And make sure you guys like, share, comment on this video. Turn on those post notifications. All that stuff really does help me out. And remember, this is Chris Both signing off, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take it easy.